So the amount of people living paycheck to paycheck in this day and age is kind of insane. And I'm not saying it in a negative way, like because you live paycheck to paycheck, you're not as good as this person, or I feel as if I'm better than anyone else. If anything, I know I'm not better than anyone else. I just did things that makes me a lot less happy, to be honest. But most people feel entitled to happiness. They feel, well, mental health, I need this, I need a break, I deserve this. And not to say you don't, but there are people who just truly see it for what it is. If you are one of those people, if you are willing, it's easier for you to get out of debt, and it's easier for you to not have to live paycheck to paycheck because you are willing to give up some of the things that make you happy. And of course, nobody want to hear this. You probably already clicked off. You probably don't see this part because you're on to another video to give you that dopamine hit that tells you, oh no, you deserve it. And of course, I could be one of those people that tell you that and say, oh yeah, you definitely deserve a break. But in all reality, the things I'm going to tell you in the remainder of the video is how I don't live paycheck to paycheck. And is it glamorous? No, but can it help you? I'm almost certain it can. So let's get into it. I want to start off with living below your means. And of course, I know everybody heard it 1,000 times. Okay, I get it. Live below my means. Don't buy Starbucks coffee. I'm not saying don't do that. If you want coffee, buy coffee. I buy coffee a lot. It's not that. It's that fast car that you want, the flashy car just to show off. You don't really even want the car that bad. You just kind of want to see how people react when they see you in the car. Trust me, I know the feeling. I have a video that I'll link up here where I talk about basically me making all these same mistakes, but I've learned from the mistakes and I didn't repeat them. And I've noticed that it very much hurt me in a lot of different ways. So first of all, don't buy that fast car. Next, I want to talk about buying designer clothing. And of course, I know you heard these things 1,000 times, but these are the things that help me get in the position to where I don't live paycheck to paycheck. If you notice from any of my older videos, or if you watch any of my other videos, you would notice I wear very similar sweaters. These sweaters are blank and I get them from a wholesaler because I have a brand outside this YouTube channel and I have an account to where I actually get things slightly lower than the average price. Basically, long story short, if you're buying designer clothes, it's no different from buying clothing from Target or Walmart or anywhere else. We all wearing pretty much the same stuff. One just has a perceived value that's higher than the other. Once you get that concept and you don't really care about how people see you and what you're wearing, you'll start to understand not to put money into designer clothing because it really does burn your pockets. And even though it may not seem like a lot in the beginning, it definitely does add up. But hey, that's besides the fact. But I know some people would put in this list food, but that's my one guilty pleasure. So I'm not going to tell you to do something that I wouldn't do. I do buy food when I want to. So when I do buy it, I buy it. You get what I'm saying? So I'm not going to tell you not to eat what you want because life is short. Enjoy your food, and food makes people happy. It really does. So I'm not going to tell you not to buy food. But if you're in a position where, your financial is not quite reaching your expenses, you might want to cut back on anything that you're doing, really. But everybody has a guilty pleasure. Mine is food. So I'm not going to go too hard on people on that one. But if you are having trouble with your financial, I would, of course, say cut back on spending really anywhere that you can. That may be my guilty pleasure. Yes, I buy food, but one thing I do realize is the cost of living is quite insane. And if you live in a place where your rent or your mortgage or whatever, however you're living is too expensive, and you know it is, but you want to live in a place where you feel you want to show off a bit. And everybody, we get it. Everybody want to be in a position like that. But if you're not in that position, that's probably one of the number one reasons why a lot of people live paycheck to paycheck, is because they're trying to live in an area or place where they can't really afford it. And just in the last few years, we all know that rents and mortgages and prices of homes went through the roof. So, of course, I said this in my last video, if you can, get a roommate. If not, you can also downgrade. It's okay to downgrade. And if you can't downgrade, I hate to say it, but you might need to consider moving in with your parents. And if that's an option that you have, right now is a good time to take it. Don't be too prideful. Do what you got to do to get to where you're trying to get. And that's what I will always say. And if you get through this part, who's to say your next season can't be your best? So now that you have your living, transportation, clothing, and food expenses all together and kind of got it under control, you can now start budgeting and saving your money, which I preach this so much. But the first thing you want to do when you are budgeting and saving your money, you want to open up a high yield savings account. And why I always preach this is because it's the easiest way to make passive income. And majority of the ways to make passive income, people will not make the initiative to do so because it is a bit tedious if you're just starting off. And if you're just building this mindset, by opening up a high yield savings account and putting a little money in there, and you start to see that interest start building, and no, it's not much, but once you see 83 cents has been deposited to your bank account and you like, where did that come from? And you realize it was from the high yield savings account, your mind just a switch turns, and now you like, how else can I make more money? And that's really the idea behind a high yield savings account. And that's why I preach it so much. And if I had to give you any suggestions, I would suggest SoFi or Chime because they both pretty cool fintech companies. And if you're interested in signing up, you can use my link below. Once you have that high yield savings account open, you can then transfer the money that you want to have over into that account. And then we can start budgeting the expenses. And this one pretty self-explanatory. What you want to do is open up a spreadsheet, and there's a lot of different apps that can help you with that, or you could use pen and paper. What I like to do is I just like to do it in Apple Notes, and then I open a spreadsheet there. I start from my most expensive bill to my lowest bill, and I do it like that. It makes it simple for me. And of course, do it however it fits your financial needs or whatever you feel helps you the best. That's how I do it. But there's no right way to do budgeting. Just make sure you put all your expenses and don't leave nothing out. And once you have your budgeting and saving in place and you kind of got that under control, then I would say step up to low risk investments such as the stock market. And if you need a broker, I use Webull. You can use the link below to go ahead and get started. You can invest in small businesses. You could do peer-to-peer lending. And of course, do your due diligence before investing into anything and make sure it fits your financial situation. But that's just a few things that you can do to put yourself in position to where you're not living paycheck to paycheck. And these are a few steps that you can take to put you in a better position. And of course, everything takes a little bit of work. And if y'all want an extended video for anything that I spoke about in this video, go ahead and comment below and let me know. But I just felt like I just hop up here and talk a little bit about how you can make a little bit more revenue or do some things to keep your revenue that you're already getting in your pocket rather than you spending it and just making reckless moves. We all know we make those mistakes. That's all that I have for you today. Hopefully see y'all on the next one. Appreciate it.